Here are the top 10 animated Bible stories. Number 10. The Fall of Lucifer. Once upon a time, in the heavenly kingdom, there was an angel named Lucifer, who was the most beautiful of all the angels. He was in charge of leading worship in heaven, and he led the other angels with joy and excellence. However, Lucifer began to desire the worship that was given to God, so he rebelled against God and led a third of the angels in war against God. God cast Lucifer and his followers out of heaven into hell, and he became known as Satan, the enemy of God and man. Number 9. David and Goliath. In the Bible, there is a story about a young boy named David who defeated the giant Goliath. One day, the Israelites were fighting against the Philistines, and the Philistines had a champion named Goliath. He was a giant who was over 9 feet tall and wore armor that weighed over 5,000 pounds. No one in Israel could defeat him, so King Saul's son Jonathan said, "Who will come with me to fight the Philistine and defeat him?" Then David said, "I will go." So David went out to face Goliath, and he took a staff and 5 stones. He chose the smallest stone and slung it at Goliath's forehead, and the stone struck him right between his eyes. And the people of Israel shouted for joy when they saw that Goliath was defeated. No. 8. Adam and Eve. In the beginning, God created the world and everything in it. He made the earth and the seas and the sky and all the animals. And then he made the first man, Adam, and placed him in the Garden of Eden. God told Adam that he could eat from any of the trees in the garden, except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But one day a serpent came to Eve, who was Adam's wife, and it tempted her to eat from the forbidden tree. So Eve took some fruit from the tree and ate it, and gave some to Adam. And immediately they realized what they had done and tried to hide from God. But God found them and asked them why they had disobeyed him. And Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent. And that is how sin entered the world, and death entered through sin. 7. Noah's Ark. Once upon a time, the world was full of violence and wickedness. And God saw that the people were evil and corrupt, and that they needed to be judged. So God sent a message to Noah, who was a righteous man, and told him to build an ark to save himself, his family, and 2 of every kind of animal. The rain fell for 40 days and 40 nights, and the whole earth was flooded. When the floodwaters receded, Noah and the animals came out of the ark, and the earth was renewed. Number 6. Tower of Babel. After the flood, the people decided to build a tower so tall that it would reach into heaven. They wanted to make a name for themselves so that they would not be scattered over the face of the earth. But God saw that they were arrogant and proud and were trying to make a name for themselves instead of making a name for God. So God confused their languages so that they could not understand each other, and scattered them over the face of the whole earth. That is why there are so many different languages in the world today. 5. Moses and the burning bush. One day, while Moses was tending to his flock of sheep, he saw a bush that was on fire but was not being consumed. So he went to investigate and heard God speaking and asking, "Who am I, Lord?" And God replied, "I am who I am." Then God said, "I have a message for the people of Israel." And Moses said, "What shall I say to them?" And God said, "Tell them that the Lord, the God of their fathers, has sent you to deliver them from the Egyptians and bring them into a land flowing with milk and honey." So Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt and parted the Red Sea, so that they could escape from the pursuing Egyptian army. Number 4. Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel was a young Jewish man who lived in the city of Babylon. One day, King Darius made a decree that no one should pray to any god or man except him for 30 days. But Daniel continued to pray to his God and was thrown into a den of lions as a result. The next morning, the king came to the den and asked if Daniel had survived the night. And Daniel said, "The living God whom I serve is able to deliver me from the lions." And the king was amazed and had Daniel brought out of the den unharmed. Number 3. Joseph and his brothers. Joseph was a young man who was favored by God and had special dreams about the future. His brothers, who were jealous of him, sold him to some traders who took him to Egypt. There he was, falsely accused of assaulting a woman, and was thrown into prison. But God was with Joseph and helped him interpret the dreams of the king and his cupbearer. And the king made Joseph his right-hand man and gave him the task of interpreting his own dream about a coming famine. Joseph prepared for the famine by storing grain and food, and when the famine did come, he was able to save his family and the people of Egypt. Number 2. The resurrection of Jesus. On the 3rd day after Jesus was crucified, the women who loved him came to the tomb to anoint his body. But when they arrived, they found that the stone that had been placed in front of the tomb was rolled away, and the tomb was empty. An angel appeared to them and said, "He is not here, for he has risen just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay." Then they ran to tell the disciples, who did not believe them. But when they went to the tomb and saw for themselves that Jesus was not there, they believed. No. 1. The creation of the world. In the beginning there was nothing. It was dark and empty and formless. And then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And he separated the light from the darkness, and called the light day, and the darkness night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the earth and the seas and the sky. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit after their kind, whose seed is in themselves on the earth." And the earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed after their kind, and trees bearing fruit, whose seed was in themselves according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. These are just a few of the many animated Bible stories that can teach us important lessons about life, faith, and God. Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this.